talk about the diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder is a condition that impacts someone in their relationships and their self-image, their ability to care for themselves, and their thoughts and feelings. Characterized by pervasive patterns of instability in mood, self-image, and interpersonal relationships, as well as marked impulsivity. Negatively impacts how they feel, how they think about themselves, how they relate to other people, and also a notice of impulsive behavior. Fear of abandonment and chronic feelings of emptiness further compound the complexity of this disorder. Individuals with borderline personality disorder often experience intense and rapidly shifting emotions, have difficulty regulating their own emotions, engage in impulsive behavior, including thoughts of self-harm and suicidality. Mood disorders, anxiety disorders, eating disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, other personality disorders, and substance use disorders can complicate borderline personality disorder. Somebody can have a mood disorder and a personality disorder diagnosis at the same time. If someone is having a repeated pattern of instability in their relationships, changes in their self-image, mood swings, and impulsive behavior, they also need to have 5 or more of the following 9 criteria for borderline personality disorder diagnosis. Frantic behavioral efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. Frantically, anxiously interacting with others because you are afraid that they will leave, and you are trying to do everything you can to prevent them from leaving, even if it's not realistic or reality. A pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. Feeling like you love someone and then 5 minutes later you feel like you hate that person, you can't stand them, you despise them, you're disgusted by them, and then in the next beat you want to be with them again, and you're begging for them to stay with you or begging for reassurance from them. Identity disturbance. Marked and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't know how people see me. I feel invisible. I feel outside of my body. Depersonalization, derealization, dissociation. Because remember, these personality disorders typically come with a history of trauma, abuse, neglect. There can be mood disorders. There can be substance use. There can be post-traumatic stress disorder, all underlying the personality disorder presentation. Impulsivity in at least 2 areas that are potentially self-damaging. For example, spending, substance abuse, reckless driving, sex, or binge eating. Recurrent suicidal behavior, gestures or threats, or self-mutilating behavior. This can be threatening to get someone else to stay or to manipulate behavior, but this can also just be due to impulsive behavior or trying to regulate mood symptoms or experiences of trauma through self-harm, thoughts of suicide, or other self-injurious behaviors. Affect instability, mood swings, due to a marked reactivity of mood. For example, intense episodic dysphoria, anxiety, or irritability. Depression, anxiety, or irritability, usually lasting a few hours and rarely more than a few days. If it was lasting for more observable, longer patterns, it might be a larger mood disorder as the diagnosis, and not necessarily a personality disorder, unless someone is having all of these symptoms of the personality disorder. Chronic feelings of emptiness. Inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. For example, frequent displays of temper, constant anger, or recurring physical fights. And when we talk about personality disorders, we need to think about how stigma plays into the presentation. Many people with personality disorders or other mental illnesses have learned how to mask their symptoms. Not everybody with borderline personality disorder is fighting people in the streets. Some of them, most of their presentation takes place internally, which is why it's so important to develop rapport with people experiencing symptoms so that they'll tell you about their internal experience of symptoms, because not everybody is at the edge of their sanity who's diagnosed with a personality disorder or with a mental illness. Some people are fighting a very internal battle all alone most of the time. Transient stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. Transient doesn't last forever. Stress-related, this can be due to environmental or relational stress. Paranoid ideation, they're going to leave me. I'm going to be abandoned. I'm going to be all alone. I'll have to do this by myself. And think about how that paranoid thought, because it's not based in reality, impacts someone's impulsive behavior. Blowing up someone's phone, stalking someone, chasing someone, inability to self-soothe, reckless behavior, or engaging in unsafe situations to get validation or seek sensation or engage in bodily harm, and severe dissociative symptoms. If you feel so disconnected or numb or empty from your body, you don't know who you are, you're split, you don't know how to view other people, and you're paranoid and you feel like you can't trust them, think about that, how that would impact behavior, how that could play into someone's impulsive, meaning that they're not thinking it through, decision making.